On.
All right. This is the July 25th, 2023 zoning appeals meeting. Tonight's agenda is we're hearing the BZA 2023-09 in regards to an area variance for 6752 Seckel Drive. This is the first meeting. Staff present is Susan Dorish and Paul Benson. And I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. And I'll take the roll call at this time. Mr. Phillips?
Here.
Mr. Hanson?
Here.
Ms. Yu?
Here.
Mr. Christensen? Christian?
Here.
And Dave Boone is vice chair, and I am present also. As is adopted the policy of the Board of Zoning Appeals, all applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. The audience will be then granted an opportunity to comment, followed by questions from the board. This policy was adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals to provide for an orderly discussion of business scheduled for consideration. The chairperson may limit repetition of debate. First on the agenda is to review the minutes from June 27th, 2023. We'll take a moment to see if there's any revisions or any questions on the minutes.
I move that we approve the June 27th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion approved by Mr. Paul Hanson and seconded by Ms. Hsu. Is there any discussion of any changes? All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
As opposed, or as approved?
Abstain.
So the first order of business is call a hearing to order at 7:08 p.m.
That was 7:04 when you called initially.
for the hearing.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
And I'd like to swear in all those people that would like to speak on behalf of the variance for tonight. All those in.
Anybody who may speak.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
So the first item is for Adam and Noel. Is it Mange? Mang? requesting approval of a variance to construct a 48-inch tall fence closer than 20 foot from a street right-of-way line at 6752 Seckel Drive, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, Lot 3234, in the Orchard Lake subdivision, currently zoned planned residential PRD BZA 2023-09. This variance was noted as a legal notice for a hearing, was printed on and published on July 12, 2023 in the Delaware Gazette and posted in the Genoa Township Hall on July 6, 2023. An attempt to mail notice of the hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was also made. The following were marked as Exhibit A through D. Exhibit A, legal notice; B, sign in sheet; C, application; and D, staff report dated on July 21st, 2023. At this time, I'll invite Susan Dorsch on behalf of Genoa Township Zoning Department to present the staff report.
Thank you, Dave. So as the legal notice said, the address of this property is 6752 Seckel Drive, and it's lot 3234 in the Orchard Lakes subdivision, and it's a planned residential district. So the Orchard Lakes subdivision Phase 1 plat was recorded in August of 1996. In October of 1997, zoning permit 97423 was issued for the construction of the residence on the property. In May of 2002, the Board of Zoning Appeals heard and approved a variance request by the previous owners of this home to install a 42-inch tall fence up to their property line. So the house has it fronts on Seckel, and it also has its property line also goes to Old 3C Highway. So the zoning code has changed a little bit from the previous variance, but it's similar. The old one said that you couldn't have a fence taller than 30 inches between the build line and the street right-of-way line. So the previous variance was approved for a 42-inch tall fence and the fence, it stated in the motion, had to be wood and be painted white. So we did issue a permit to the new applicants on March 16th of this year, and that was to pull the fence back away from that property line along South Old 3C Highway. But it's my understanding once like the fence company went out and it was like, no, they wanted it all the way back, so it wasn't cutting off a portion of their yard. So the homeowner came in, talked to us in the office, and then consequently submitted for the variance application. So currently, the zoning code says that you can have a fence 36 inches tall up to 20 feet from the road right-of-way line. So this variance is for a 48-inch tall fence all the way to their property line, and the right-of-way line is one and the same. So you can see there on their site plan that they provided in their application. Went through that. So We did send notice to police, fire, and maintenance. We heard back from all the departments. No one had any concerns or any issues with the variance application. We did have one inquiry about the application, which was from a member of the Orchard Lakes HOA. And he informed our office that the HOA had not received or approved the new fence. So that's all I have.
So the new fence is outside of the 20-foot?
They want to put the new fence all the way to the rear property line. So it would be within that, like if they pulled it out 20 feet from the property line along South Old 3C, then they would not need a variance from our office. But since they want to put it all the way to the property line along State Route 3, because there's a right-of-way line, it has to, they need the variance for that.
I'm confused by the pictures, though. Is the new fence line the,
The applicant could probably
okay,
tell you that more than I.
okay.
As far as the material and color, is that in, that's not in the zoning resolution, right? Okay.
Nope, we don't dictate
Okay,
materials
yeah, I didn't
at
think
all.
so, yeah.
That would all be, if they
Yeah,
have
the whole- the-
restrictions,
whether it's
that's
white and
all their
wood
deed
was-
restrictions
okay.
or protect covenants, whatever they're.
Yeah, we just have to worry about the height and placement, okay.
To be clear, is Old 3C up here at the top of the photo? And is the red line representing the proposed fence? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I'd like to invite the applicant up to the podium. You may sit at the podium, or you can sit.
If we'll sit here, that's okay.
Just have to put the mics.
Do they have to state their name on that?
Should, for the record.
For the record, please state your name, your address.
My name is Adam Meng. My address is 6752 Seckle Drive, Westerville, Ohio, 43082.
Noel Mang, 6752 Cycle Drive, Westerville, Ohio, 43082.
And if you could, we have all the documents and everything here. If you can present what it is you're doing and in detail,
Sure.
so we can ask you questions on.
Sure. Susan articulated so well, so I don't know if I can follow up as well as she did it, but, so yes, we want to erect a 48-inch black aluminum fence along our property line that will follow the design that I provided to everybody. So all those exhibits that you have will be the drawing, the previous zoning permit that we were given. The pictures are visual representation with flagging tape of that said drawing. And I also included visual pictures of what the fencing panel looks like to give you, so you can see exactly what that looks like and see how it's designed, its relative transparency. We just wanted to be able to erect that fence following the same fence line that the residence was given before with the white wooden 42-inch fence. So that's what we put together for everybody.
I did have one thing too to say. In the application, it calls out certain documents that they provided in their application as exhibits and labels them like A, B, C, but we label our,
So
like, first four exhibits are A through D. So maybe if you take something in, maybe we need to call them like 1, 2, 3 or something a little different, so it's not confusing.
The pictures may
minute.
come into Exhibit E.
Or, they're just part of the application, which we take the application in all as a whole, so, I mean, we don't need to submit them as new exhibits, but I know the application referred to certain pictures, but they weren't labeled, so I wasn't sure exactly what picture went for. But I'm sure that'll get clarified this evening.
Does anybody have questions for the applicants?
I do.
Sure.
The pictures, you said that my wife insists I'm colorblind, the pink ribbon.
The flagging tape, yeah.
Yeah. Is that where the old fence was? Have you-
Yes, yeah,
And
all-
you've removed most of it. I
It's
did
all gone, yeah. Just post holes remain.
The one here that does have some fence
That's
line?
not ours. We think
That's
that's
not-
the HOAs, we think. We're not entirely sure.
The white fencing?
Yeah.
I was under the impression that the white fence was coming down.
Oh, no, that's not
and
ours.
you were going to build another fence.
No, we're gonna be behind that, actually.
Okay.
You'll get your
Put
turn.
that up when they did Route 3.
I live in the same neighborhood. That was put up by Orchard Lakes itself as a barrier that protects a water.
There's a pond, like a retention
that's
pond.
In that area. So that white fence is very new.
Zoom just south. Yep, there you go.
That white fence runs all the way north-south along the lake.
All the way to
and
Mount
east-west.
Royal. Yep.
Is that a bike trail running by?
To the left.
You
Yeah.
can't really talk from there, so.
How far from the bike trail is that fence in the end?
Oh, gosh. Like the true bike trail, I mean, there's a sidewalk. If
Yeah.
he zoomed
Oh, that's
in.
what it is. Okay, sidewalk, not a bike
Sorry.
trail.
So I thought you were talking about the actual Genoa bike trails past those houses west of us.
So does the white fence go the entire distance of
Our property,
where the yellow line is going?
like to that point?
Yes.
No, it doesn't go quite that far. No, it cuts off just before it starts to go at an angle. Yeah, at your cursor's right where it stops.
Are there any other fences adjoining property owners where yours is or will be? Left or
Adjoining
right,
property owners have fences. Yeah, our direct neighbor to the south of us has a fence. Yeah, it's visually, sorry to make you keep turning around, but yes, there.
The south is on this, okay.
Yep. And then a couple houses just north of us, there's a vinyl fence right there.
Does it run across the back?
Yes,
It does.
yes.
Crosses the property line. Okay.
Do
That
you
one
have
looks like
intent
it's
to
pulled off.
go for an approval by your HOA?
Yeah,
Are you just
yeah.
doing this
There,
first?
there was a miscommunication, we think, that went on. So we reached out to our HOA, what we're doing, design committee, and talked through it with them. So we're still in discussions with them right now, but everything's getting straightened out with them. Yep.
As far as
This has been a 2+ year project, sorry.
As far as I'm concerned, your dealings with the HOA really isn't my problem. You guys can deal with them on a separate
Yeah.
thing completely.
So basically, correct me if I'm wrong, half of your fence is going to be hidden behind the white fence.
Yeah.
And the other half is going to be exposed.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
A question I would have is, I think, Susan, am I correct that they're permitted to have a 42-inch fence? Part of this variance is to go to a 48-inch fence?
The original variance says a 42-inch wood fence that's painted white. It's very
Very
specific.
specific.
And they're asking for a black metal fence, I'll call it. It's probably some kind
aluminum.
of powder coated, like black
Yeah,
fence.
yeah.
So, one, they're asking for it to be taller, so they would had to come in anyway, because the original one was 42, but the other one was very specific. And I think that was because of deed restrictions, that they have like a 42-inch tall fence, and it says white. Now, whether they've changed that, because that was 2002, I don't know. And we don't enforce deed restrictions, so, like, we already issued them a permit for the fence,
Previously.
which I think they've already installed down the sides
Part of it.
of the lot. And then they stopped because it wasn't gonna go all the way to the property line.
So part of the black fence is installed on the sides already?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this approval actually has 48-inch for fence posts containing fence caps. So 42 for the whole fence, then 48 for the posts containing caps. So.
They did raise up a lot higher.
Okay.
And that was for the white fence?
The white
one,
fence,
The original
yeah.
approval, yeah.
In the pictures, I see some black fence. These will be vertical columns, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Are those power, is that utility poles in there, or are those telephone lines and
Those are,
cable
I
lines?
think those are power lines, but that's outside of our proposed fence line. It's past our proposed fence line.
I'm always concerned with power lines around aluminum fencing because if they're not grounded, sometimes you can get surges coming up through the wall. I used to work for the power company.
Gotcha.
You won't be close to that pole
No,
though, because that
no.
pole would be in the right of way.
Right.
So their property line.
We're very pushed in from there. Basically, we're inside the tree line, essentially.
Susan, I want to make sure that I'm clear. We could approve this tonight, and the homeowners association could still request modifications or reject it, right? Our approval isn't controlling over the homeowners association in any way. So you still have to go through the homeowners association.
Yep, hence why we're talking with the design control board and all that.
Okay.
Yep, getting everything squared away.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant?
Not for me.
Gentleman in the back, public comments, do you have any?
I'm here just,
Come to the, state your name and your address.
Hello, my name is Michael Toth. I live at 6737 Seckle Drive, Westerville, 43082, across the street from Adam and Noel. I'm here just more of a vouch for the neighborhood itself. I know there are, as she described, white fences that are of specific height, specific material, and throughout the neighborhood. There are evidence of different materials being used, different heights, variations. I know that their original fence line did run exactly where his tape line that he shows in these photos. And as a person that walks his dog behind that property day in and day out, I know that that fence line is not going to interfere with any of the traffic that goes up and down Old 3C at that point, and will not make any kind of obstruction to anyone walking on that area as well. And as it comes, the fence line that they're putting in doesn't impede anything into either property, on either side of them, and is in absolutely no way like obtrusive to us, or, you know, it fits perfectly with the neighborhood, and I don't think that it's something that is of concern to the other neighbors that live in our neighborhood. So I was just here to speak on behalf of the neighborhood itself and someone who lives there and is a part of the community, so.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
You're welcome.
Board discussion? Mark, Teresa?
I guess I have no problems with it. From the board's perspective, there was prior fencing. They're going to modify this slightly by color, size, and location, but neighbors have similar fences, so.
My only concern is that the one side is hidden anyways, so you're not gonna see it from the white fence. But the other side is gonna, to your point, it's going to be exposed next to the white fence, so that's the only concern of mine. But basically, you could see the white fence standing out strongly where the black fence is. It
Blends
seems
in.
like it's gonna blend in, and then there's gonna be a background behind it. Yeah.
And I assume we'll want to stay away from specifying, like they did in 2002, specifying the material and the color. We'll just, it's 48 inches at this, along the property line, period.
If we don't have anything else, does somebody want to go through Duncan versus Middlefield?
I can do that. The board reviewed section 307.06 of the zoning resolution reflecting Duncan v. Middlefield as it pertains to the area variance requested from section 2002.03 to allow for a fence higher than 36 inches within 20 feet of a road right-of-way in a planned residential zoning district, PRD, as follows. The first point, the property in question would yield a reasonable return, and there can be beneficial use of the property without the variance. It doesn't in any way impede the use of the property, so I think there would be a beneficial use of it. B, the variance arguably is not substantial. In this case, I did a quick calculation, I guess, that I took an additional 6 inches over 42 inches that's already been approved to get to 48. It looks to me like that's a 12.5% variance, so I would argue that's not substantial. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, and the adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. As mentioned earlier, apparently the adjacent property owners have fencing, so it's not so unique as to be disruptive to the appearance and that others already have it. And in fact, this property owner has approval for a prior fencing, albeit at a slightly lower height and a different color and material, but I don't see those as dramatically different. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. Staff indicated that they've had no adverse comment from any of the governmental services to the property. The property owner did purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Just so you know that this board has always taken the position that a property owner is charged with knowledge of any public restrictions. So we've always taken the position that you did purchase it with that knowledge or had the opportunity to have determined those restrictions prior to your purchase. The property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through a method other than the variance. In order to get a 48-inch fence, they need a variance. In order to get the newly proposed material, the metal, aluminum, the only way that can be done is through the variance. The spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice would be done by granting the variance. Once again, it's not going to dramatically change anything that's already in place. They previously had a fence. This fence would be slightly higher, slightly different location and slightly different material. But again, the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement is so that a fence doesn't obstruct the view of, in particular, another driveway, I believe, was what was in our material, and I believe there's no other material across the, or, I'm sorry, no other driveways across
No, there's no driveway access.
the street from you.
From
So,
Seckel to
the
Precinct.
spirit and intent of the zoning requirement would be observed, and substantial justice would be done by granting the variance.
I think it actually increases the view. being
Okay.
that
Taller.
It's open. No,
Yeah.
open. It's
Yeah.
open fence. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. No further discussion. I will then make a motion to incorporate exhibits A through D and the pictures which were attached to the application. I don't believe there's any other exhibits that need to be attached, just what we've identified as A through D, which included, I believe, was C was the application, B or C was the application. As well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of section 307.06 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution. Moved that that be admitted into evidence and to approve the requested variance from section 2002.03 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution for BZA case number 2023-09. Application received June 26, 2023, to allow for a 48-inch high fence up to the south Old 3C Highway right-of-way or the property line on the property known as Lot 3234 in Orchard Lake subdivision. That address is 6752 Seckel Drive, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, which is zoned as a planned residential district PRD. This motion is based upon the following findings of fact. Pursuant to Section 307.04 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution. Number one, that such variance or modification will not be contrary to the public interest because there was an existing fence approved by this board some 20 years ago, something like that. And the new fence, as mentioned by the vice chair, will be vertical and it will be more easily seen through. That owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of this zoning resolution will result in an unnecessary hardship because you couldn't put the fence in that place. So I don't believe we need to impose that unnecessary hardship. That the approval of such variance or modification thereof is consistent with the spirit of the zoning resolution and substantial justice shall be done thereby, and as we've already described it, the spirit is so that if there is a fence installed, it won't obstruct from the view of a driveway, and we've indicated that there's no driveway on the other side of the highway from this fencing. So substantial justice would be done by granting the variance. Approval of the subject variance is subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. Number one, we require of all required permits, zoning or otherwise, be obtained, and I think that would include going to the homeowners association and making sure you have their approval. Pursuant to Section 307.11 of the Genoa Township zoning resolutions, the approved variance will lapse, expire, and be null and void ab initio if required zoning permits are not obtained within 1 year of the motion of approval. So you get 1 year to get things underway. You said it's been not a 4-year process already. It's a 2-year process.
Over 2.
Don't wait that long, or
Yep.
this lapses.
Contractors are very, very hard these days.
That they are. Extensions to this variance may be requested pursuant to Sections 307.11A and B of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended. Number 4, I don't know that we have any of these. The Board of Zoning Appeals does grant the Genoa Township zoning inspector authority to extend this variance at their discretion, subject to the deadlines established within Section 307.11A of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended.
Second.
Anything else?
Second
Seconded
the
by
motion?
Tracy.
Okay.
I do have one question for staff. If they were approved for a 6-inch higher fence previously and they tore down a fence, does that variance still hold true for this one? Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Call the question?
What's that?
Call the question?
Call the question. At this time, I'll take the roll. Mr. Christian,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
Yes.
Ms. Yu,
Yes.
and the vice chair says yes also. At this time, you have approved fence.
Thank you all.
Good
Appreciate
job.
it. Thank you for your time.
So,
Thank you.
like I said before, we do have an application for next month, so you
Thanks.
will have a August meeting. And Mr. Henson, as I pointed out, my agenda was wrong, so we weren't gonna skip August. We will have an August meeting on
22nd.
August 22nd.
call me the day before.
Being,
Yeah.
If I could-
Mr. Harmon's here.
If I could address the board, as a guy that apparently got his days screwed up. And yeah, call me the day before. Okay, so by way of explanation, why I was not here on time. I was in Michigan 2 weeks ago for the weekend, Friday through Sunday. I did an auto tour last Thursday. I raced all weekend, and quite honestly, I don't know what day it is. And it's not because of my age. But I did want to address the board. What was that?
You state your name and address.
Yes, Mark Harmon, former chairman of the board, no. I wanted to, I did a little bit of an email back and forth with Joe. You notice that you have a revised rules of procedure, and I wanted to, the main reason I came up tonight, you guys are more than capable of doing this without me. But the reason I came up is what my thought was on this is that, especially now that we have an application next month, I would like everybody to take a look at this over the month and then come back with any comments so we can, after the hearing is completed, we can go through this, make any changes or revisions or discussion that we have, and so that we can get going on revising our rules of procedure. And for those of you that don't know, A, it's been quite a while since we did this. I want to say 2018. And B, I waited a little while because I wanted zoning to revise theirs, and so that ours is essentially not necessarily a mirror, but as similar as would fit us as possible. And that was the whole intent of delaying it. And I think that, and I didn't want to go through it tonight because I want to give you guys a chance to do the homework and do the reading, okay? And so that was the whole intent of what this is. So take it with you, make notes. We'll discuss it next month if I can remember to be here. And then, but I will tell you, my racing season is over in about 2 weeks. And then we go to night races, and yeah, those are a whole nother thing. And then I don't have anything else planned. So are there any questions?
Mark, I did want to raise something with you.
Sure.
At one time, you and Susan put your heads together, but did we not get together
We did.
outside of this meeting because it was a lengthy, and
We
had
did a
lot of
special
comments
meeting
here.
for that, and if you guys, and
I still
this
have
is,
it. I still have the. written-
yeah, and this is what our work product was the 2018 Rules of Procedure. And so if you feel as though after you go through it and you compare it to what we are using now, because ours now is a little bit outdated in some areas, and that was the main cause for concern. If you feel as though we need a special meeting, then we can certainly have a special meeting. I just didn't want to burden everybody, especially during the summer, by calling a special meeting just to go through that. Because it may take 20 minutes, it may take an hour, it may take 2 hours, and it takes what it takes. So if we feel as though we need to have a special meeting for this and drag Paul and Susan up here, then we can. I'm not opposed to it. I just thought this was cleaner, easier, and this is kind of just a place to start. So,
I wanted to mention too that most of the information in here has been given to the township directly from our legal counsel, Peter Griggs. So it's not like we were sitting there, you know, just kind of thinking things up. It's all come through that legal avenue. So, and then
Sure.
once you guys go through it all, then we would send it to the prosecutor's office also. to
sure,
get
like
it
we did before.
sent to- Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, it's a lot more fun sitting there than it is standing here, in case anybody was wondering.
These
So-
identical outside, just the changes are.
Yeah, the changes are supposed to be in red.
And a red.
Right,
line
and if you
copy.
didn't have you may not have had an old copy of what's already in place, so, sure.
Wouldn't there be a vote? There wouldn't be a vote at a special meeting, or would there?
We could,
I guess what I'm thinking is, should the alternates plan to be there and participate?
I would, if we do a special meeting, sure. I think we did that before,
Yeah.
and I
We
would
met-
encourage
we
them.
met-
Posted it and, I mean,
Yep.
public was allowed to come.
Yep,
so
yeah,
it
because
was a
remember, we
public
met in the
hearing.
We met
back,
in the
but we
back
also
room,
had to
yeah.
post it because it was a public meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I'm not opposed to doing that. I just didn't want you guys, didn't want to drag you guys in on a special day and do it, but I'm not opposed to doing it. So, it's whatever, like I said, it's whatever you guys want to do. I'm certainly flexible about that. And, you know, I think we all need a chance to go through it and kind of digest it and make some notes and think about it. And like I said, if you come in next on the, what is it, the 22nd? Yeah, sure, he'll remember. The 22nd, and you think you want to do a special meeting, then we'll do a special meeting. It's fine. I don't care. So apparently I have trouble showing up to them anyway, so it's a crapshoot whether I'll be here.
So there's only one application for next month, so it shouldn't be a really lengthy meeting either.
Right.
And then I thought we would get a couple more applications, so you may have one in September too, because we are expecting some more. So.
And if it turns out we've got multiple applications in August, then what I would suggest is maybe we just do a yay or nay. Should we have a special meeting about this?
Yeah, the deadline's already passed.
Today's the deadline.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you only got one.
Okay, cool, good. So there you go. So that's all I had. Thanks for your time.
I think what we could do, just do side notes off to the side of the red line.
Sure.
And
Yep.
I don't think it's gonna be.
That's what that was my thinking too. And like I said, if you guys, when we come back on the 22nd, if you guys are prepared to go through it, I'm totally on board with that. So whatever you guys want to do is just fine.
Sounds good.
So
I'll be tired from bike riding by that time, so.
now you stand in my shoes, sir.
Peloton.
I don't do bike riding, I do car riding. I don't do it well, but I do it.
All right.
Pelotonia, what day?
2 weeks. Dave moves at this time to adjourn a meeting at 8:44 or 7:44. I stand corrected.
Second.
And seconded by Mark Phillips.
You guys are fast.
Call the vote.
It's a voice vote, Dave. All,
All in favor?
Aye.
any opposed?